We are diving today into some truly remarkable economic data coming out of India. It's the kind of news that offers immediate, tangible relief to millions.
It really is. We're talking about India's retail inflation hitting its lowest point in, well, over a decade.
Which, for you listening, is just a much-needed breather for your wallet after months and months of rising costs.
Significant pause for sure.
So let's put a number on it. Retail inflation, which is measured by the Consumer Price Index, it came in at a staggering low of 0.25% for October 2025.
And that's a massive drop from just the month before, from 1.54%. It really blew past what most analysts were expecting.
They were thinking closer to 1%, right?
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack this. We need to look past that headline number and really understand the two big forces that came together to create this cocktail of good news.
Right.
And what's so fascinating is that this isn't some statistical blip.
Yeah.
It has a direct impact on the fundamental cost of living, what many in India call roti, kapta, or makan.
Food, clothing, and shelter.
The absolute basics. And when you see a change this fast, it tells you something powerful is happening with both nature and policy.
Okay, so let's start with the biggest piece of the puzzle. Driver number one, the food price flip. This is the stat that just floors me. Food inflation didn't just slow down.
No, it went negative.
It flipped completely into negative territory. Minus 5.02%. I mean, when was the last time we saw a contraction like that?
It's been years. And you have to remember, food items, especially things like vegetables and pulses, they have a huge weight in the average person's spending.
Of course.
So when that part of your budget drops by 5%, the whole inflation number gets dragged down with it.
And for the average family, this just means that sticker shock on kitchen staples is finally easing up. We're talking about things like onions, tomatoes, and especially dal, the pulses that are, the backbone of the diet.
Right. Suddenly you can restock the pantry without feeling like your budget is just fracturing on the spot. Your money is going a lot further.
So what's the mechanism? How did this happen so quickly?
Well, it's a mix of a couple of things. Our sources point to, first, just widespread bumper harvests. The weather's been much more cooperative this season.
Okay, so a gift from nature.
A big one.
Yeah.
But second, and this is just as important, are real improvements in the supply chain, in the logistics.
Ah, so getting the food from the farm to the market.
Exactly. We're seeing less spoilage, faster transit times. That means vegetables, cereals, all the staples are arriving in markets cheaper and in bigger volumes. It's amazing how quickly better logistics translate directly into household savings.
That's a powerful organic driver. But now let's pivot to the second one, which is purely policy-driven. Driver number two, the taxman's coupon.
Or the big shakeup in the goods and services tax, the GST. That kicked in late September.
Right. And this was a deliberate move, wasn't it? An effort to bring down consumer prices.
Absolutely. And it looks like it worked fast.
So GST has always been a bit complicated with all these different tax slabs. What exactly did they change?
They simplified it dramatically. They basically consolidated everything into two main rates, 5% for your essential basics and then 18% for most other things.
And that simplification helps businesses, which I guess they can then pass on.
It does. But the more direct impact, the thing you feel right away, is that specific everyday heroes of consumption were moved into that lowest 5% bracket.
What kind of items are we talking about?
Things like certain dairy products, common stationery, notebooks, pencils for the kids, and a whole list of other household must-haves.
Stuff that was taxed higher before.
That's it. And when you lower the tax on these high-volume goods, the savings are felt immediately, right there at the checkout counter. It's a really smart, targeted way to provide relief.
So this is a structural change, complementing the temporary relief from the good harvest.
Precisely. It shows how good policy can deliver palpable, rapid results.
Okay, but this is where we have to, get a little critical. The headline number is almost zero. So why are economists popping champagne? We have to talk about the base effect.
Ah, yes, the base effect. This is maybe the biggest asterisk next to that 0.25% number. It's the statistical shadow cast by history.
Explain that. So last year around this time, food prices were what?
They were through the roof. Exceptionally high because of bad weather and supply problems.
Okay, so we're comparing today's very low prices against last year's unusually high prices.
And that makes the drop look much, much more dramatic than it might otherwise be. The analogy I've heard is it's like comparing your heating bill after a really mild winter to the year before when you had the furnace blasting day and night.
The savings feel huge.
They feel astronomical, but part of it is just, statistical distortion. So we have to parse what's happening.
So what we're seeing is a mix of lasting fixes, like the GST change, and these short-lived boosts, like the base effect and the good weather.
Exactly. And that raises a really important question. What about the pressures that you can't fix with a good harvest or a tax cut?
Which brings us to the stickiness of core inflation.
The stubborn part of the equation.
Right, because when you strip out the volatile stuff, food and fuel, what you're left with, core inflation, is still hovering around 4.2 to 4.5%.
And that's the number the central bankers are watching like a hawk, because it strips away the temporary noise and shows you the underlying trend.
And what does that trend tell us?
It tells us that the prices for services and manufactured goods are not dropping. So for you, the listener, it means while you're saving on your groceries, the cost of, say, getting your car fixed, or school fees or health care, that hasn't really come down.
Okay, so hold on. If that core number is still high at 4.5%, why would the Reserve Bank of India even think about relaxing its stance? Wouldn't that just reignite the fire?
That is the central tension they're dealing with. It's a great question. They absolutely cannot ignore core inflation. But the sheer size of the headline drop
Yeah.
gives them what we call elbow room.
Breathing space.
Breathing space, exactly. They're meeting their immediate goal of price stability. They are miles away from that 6% red line that forces them to act.
Yeah.
The core number just means that any move they make, like cutting interest rates, will have to be very cautious, very incremental.
They need to see that core number cool off, not just the food prices.
That's the key.
Okay, so let's talk about the road ahead. For households, the immediate win is obvious. Cheaper veggies means more money for other things.
More disposable income, absolutely. Maybe for school supplies, maybe a small family outing. It all adds up.
And for the RBI, this elbow room, what does that translate to for you, the consumer, looking ahead?
Well, potentially, it means stability in lending rates. It could mean cheaper loans for a new home or a car down the line.
Which is what you need to spark spending and hiring.
It's exactly what the economy needs to get that broader growth going.
Now, what about from the business side? I'm thinking about the FMCG sector, the companies making packaged foods, detergents, all that. Their input costs are easing up, which is good. But what are they worried about?
This is a really nuanced dilemma for them. Yes, their raw material costs are lower, but their main worry is demand, volume, and margin pressure.
Explain that pressure.
Well, when there's this deflationary feeling in the air, competition forces everyone to cut prices, so their revenue growth slows down. If prices stay too low for too long, their profit margins get squeezed, even if their own costs are down.
So they're being cautious.
Extremely cautious. They're managing their inventory very carefully. They're watching and waiting to see if demand, especially from rural areas, really picks up in a sustained way before they commit to any big expansions.
So a tricky balancing act for them. That brings us to the forecast. What's the crystal ball showing for the next year or so?
Most experts seem to think this period of super low inflation, maybe around 1 to 2%, will stick around for the next couple of quarters.
So the breather continues for a bit.
It does.
Yeah.
But that base effect, it's going to fade. It has to.
And when it does, the numbers will climb back up, right?
They will. We're expecting inflation to start climbing back toward a more normal 3% by the end of the financial year 2025-26. The RBI's own forecast is looking at an average of 2.6% for the full year.
So manageable. Not a return to the painful spikes we saw before.
Not at all. It would signal a healthy, contained inflation rate that can support growth without eating away at everybody's savings.
In the end, this whole episode is just a powerful reminder, isn't it? That smart policy, like that GST streamlining, and a bit of good luck from nature,
With the phenomenal harvests.
can team up to really lighten the load for a country where the cost of living is always, always top of mind.
And that's really the analytical thought I want to leave you with today. As you watch your own budget over the next few months, and hopefully enjoy these lower prices, just consider this question. How much of this breathing room is from policy brilliance? Things that are sustainable, like the tax and logistics changes. And how much is just a temporary gift from nature? Which of those two forces do you think will be stronger in keeping prices stable as we head into next year? Because the answer to that really dictates the future for the Indian consumer.